Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Search continues for grandma washed away in Mobay. The search continues for 68-year-old Beryl Walters, who was swept away by floodwaters on Tuesday that claimed the life of her 12-year-old granddaughter, Janelle Walters. Janelle's body was recovered Tuesday evening, about a mile and a half from where she and her grandmother were washed away by raging floodwaters during heavy rain. The search will likely include a still partially submerged Toyota Succeed motorcar in which 4 people were traveling. Barry Walters, the missing woman's husband, and his 25-year-old daughter, Shannon Walters, were rescued by men who fixed tires and an employee of a garden supply store. One heavy water come down and spin it around, and the man them did see what go on and come help. One big unit did stop over the side, and then me come and me stop, and him drive way and move way. After him drive way, a heavy water come and lick the car and spin it round, Walters said on Tuesday, as he relived the ordeal while awaiting news of his missing wife. His daughter, 25-year-old Shannon, told reporters how she clung to a tree limb for dear life after the car was swept away. It got down in the current, and then it turned over. We did wind down the window, but because we did see the man them a come fi take we out, because we did a call them, and them did have rope. But by the time them come down towards we, I saw the car go in at the current and start wash we away, she said. Car mart dealer gunned down at bar in Manchester. Police are probing the murder of a car mart dealer who was shot dead at a bar in Hatfield, Manchester on Tuesday night. The victim has been identified as 38-year-old Devon Henry, otherwise called Shortman, a resident of George Reed District in the parish. It is reported that shortly after 8 p.m., Henry was among patrons in a bar when the gunman entered posing as a customer before opening gunfire. Henry sustained gunshot wounds to his left side. He was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. As of April 15, Manchester recorded 14 murders since the start of the year, compared to 9 for the corresponding period last year. Cabby killed in Montego Bay. The police were on the scene in Capitol Heights, Montego Bay, St. James, where a taxi driver was fatally shot. He has been identified as 43-year-old O'Neill Smith from Albion in the parish. Initial reports from police sources indicate that Smith was shot inside a restaurant. The area had been cordoned off and traffic diverted. Investigations continue. J&J suspends COVID-19 vaccine sales forecast. Johnson & Johnson is suspending sales forecast for its COVID-19 vaccine only a few months after saying the shot could bring in as much as $3.5 billion this year. A global supply surplus and uncertainty about future demand, fueled in part by vaccine hesitancy in some developing markets, prompted the change, J&J said Tuesday. The company also reported a better-than-expected first-quarter profit and announced a dividend increase. J&J one-shot vaccine brought in US $457 million in global sales during the first quarter, while the company's pharmaceutical sales as a whole totaling near US $13 billion. The vaccine registered only US $75 million in sales in the US, or about 25% less than what is drunk of after debuting in last year's first quarter. J&J has said it doesn't intend to profit from the vaccine, but it said in January that the shot could bring in between US $3 billion and US $3.5 billion in sales this year as countries continue to fight variants of the virus. Demand for initial vaccine doses and booster shots has slowed since shots from J&J, Pfizer and Moderna entered the U.S. market last year. More than 82% of the U.S. population, age 5 and older, has already received at least one vaccine dose, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. Mobay's acting mayor wants slaughterhouse talks with agri-groups. Montego Bay's deputy mayor, Richard Vernon, wants meet with representatives of the Agricultural Ministry to discuss plans to development of a slaughterhouse in St. James. According to Vernon, there is an issue of food safety in the parish, which has been without an authorized abattoir for approximately 10 years. He also wants the Rural Agricultural Development Authority and the Jamaica Agricultural Society to be part of the talks. We are concerned about food safety, particularly how we process, dress, and prepare it for public consumption, Vernon said. He was speaking during Monday's staging of the Montpellier Agricultural Show in Montpellier, St. James. From as far back as 2012, butchers in St. James have been called for an abattoir. They say the lack of facility was impacting their ability to meet health guidelines. Over the years, there have been reports of illegal slaughterhouses across the parish. In 2013, it was reported that a lack of funding was preventing some of Western Jamaica's local authorities from establishing central abattoirs. In the meantime, Vernon called for the agricultural sector to be revolutionized and updated with modern technology in order to attract younger farmers. Not true, Councillor True. Head of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA Arthur Garden, has strongly rejected claims by Councillor Michael, PNP Party Granville Division, that there is a go-go club at the retirement dump. I can tell you categorically, and anybody who says otherwise must find it and show you. There is no go-go club or stuff like that at any disposal site, none, Garden told reporters on Tuesday. There's just people from humble means trying to live that they are there. We've already taken steps, and they're ongoing, to have them relocated and to bring some order to the facility, so I'm not going to be part of the mischief, and don't write lies about Go-Go Club. I'm not going to be part of that. I'll be part of the solution to try and relocate the people and to try and run the disposal site in the best way possible. Speaking at last Thursday's regular meeting at the St. James Municipal Corporation, Michael, in response to a question about whether frequent fires at the dump were linked to activities taking place there, described a facility where anything goes. Let me give you a snapshot of what the dump looks like, he said. If you want a drink of rum, there's a bar at the retirement dump. If you want any type of clothing, there is a store at the retirement dump. And if you want medication, there's an active bar. If you are to go into Go-Go, they have nightclub up there, he said. The representative from the NSWMA's regional arm, Western Park and Markets, was not heard, contradicting Michael. During a visit to a section of the 30-acre site on Monday, reporters saw a bar and a shop being operated from 2 cars, plus what appeared to be a house of ill repute being readied for rent. Some buildings were not accessed because of the mired mire underfoot and mound of garbage. On Tuesday, in rubbishing Michael's claim of a go-go club, Gordon said people live at the site, but that reporters did not see any sign of this at the section visited on Monday. It is not new. There are people residing on the retirement disposal facility. Minister of Local Government Desmond McKenzie instructed us to approach it in a humane way because, notwithstanding their humble means, they are Jamaicans. They are part of the Jamaican family, so we should treat it as humane as possible. And that we easily agreed with and started the process, he said, adding that discussions began about 3 years ago. The Housing Association of Jamaica at the time was, and I believe still is, willing to provide the land for the relocation exercise. The Social Development Commission, SDC, was tasked with doing the assessment of the families that were there, and I know some work was done in that regard. I can't tell you how far or whether that work is completed for the SDC side, but what we know is that relocation is definitely a process that's on. And that's an ideal process because we would rather not have anybody living on our disposal sites, Gardner added. A more relaxed approach has been taken to the commercial activity there and other sites across the country. This is not unique to Jamaica. All around the world, people act out on existence by scavenging at dump sites. We understand that they make a living from picking and other activities that they do at the disposal site. And we are very, very sensitive to that. While they are there, these are people who are very shrewd business people. They try to live, they find ways to make a living, so yes, they do sell things there, Garden said. None of the dump sites across the country are completely secured, he said in response to Michael's claim about the lack of a perimeter wall at the dump and the ease which was unauthorized individuals can enter. On Monday, during a visit with the councillor, reporters entered through an old route that was once the main road to the facility. None of our disposal facilities are fenced or steriled. They are all open land spaces. There are a huge grade of land, and people can access them from different things. Is that ideal? No. But that's what we have, and I have to play the hand that I draw. so I'm doing the best with what I get to work with, said Garden. 4 killed in fatal crashes over Easter weekend. 4 people were killed in 4 fatal crashes over the Easter weekend, pushing road fatalities since the start of the year to 133. This represents a decline in fatalities over the holiday weekend, which often sees an increase in road crashes and fatalities. In 2019, just before the COVID-19 pandemic forced the country into a lockdown, 8 people lost their lives in crashes over the 4-day weekend. This was a decline from the 10 recorded in 2017, which was one of the highest recorded in 2 decades, with road fatalities and fatal crashes increasing by 5% and 1% respectively when compared with the similar period in 2021. The director of the Road Safety Unit continues to renew calls for road users to exercise caution on the nation's roads. Of the road fatalities recorded thus far, 112 were males and 21 were females. Pedestrians account for 24% of the road users killed since the start of the year, while private motor vehicle drivers accounted for 23% of the road users killed. Motorcyclists account for 26%. Meanwhile, vulnerable road users such as pedestrians, pedal cyclists, motorcyclists, and pillion passengers account for 58% of the road users killed since the start of the year. Passengers account for 18%. The parts which accounted for the majority of the road users killed since the start of the year are St. Catherine, 18%, St. Andrew, 13%, and St. Anne, 11%. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.